It is preparing to live stream.
Prepare to live stream.
All right.
Stream.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
Stream.
All right. Looks like we are live. Perfect.
Hey.
Heyo.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. So let's get
It's happening.
started. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome, everyone, to the 44th episode of Goddess Spotlight with Liaserenityrose. I'm your host, Leah. And of course, I have my co host, Andrew, here.
Hello.
And of course, our special guest for tonight is Mr. Anthony Salerno, the voice of Chip/Light Gaia from Sonic Unleashed.
What's
Hey.
up?
All right. So, I just want to let you know, chat, if you have any questions for Anthony, you are more than welcome to put them in the live stream chat. So, but I will get started with my first question for you, Anthony. All right. So, my first question for you, Anthony, is tell us how you got into voice acting and what inspired you to pursue this career.
Wow. Do you want the long answer or the short answer? How much time do we have? Um, I'll try to make this short and entertaining. I kind of stumbled into voice acting. I started as an actor, studied as an actor, and then as a director, and I got into dubbing anime, like back in the old days when we did it like direct to video, like VHS. That's a thing. I don't know if people know what VHS is, but um, I was a dubbing supervisor. So basically, I would kind of like manage the dubbing process where we would hire actors, audition them, and then a studio would record them. There'd be an ADR director, and then we would get
Ooh.
those dubbed animes back, and we'd review them and whatnot. So eventually, I found my way into actually working for those studios as an ADR director. So and then I was directing voice actors, and very often we'd record a show and then there'd be like a half a million like Soldier B and Man C and stuff like that, like all of these extras. So I would do a lot of those voices. And I don't know, after a while I was like, hey, I'm not terrible at this. Maybe I should try like maybe like actually auditioning for something. And because I was sort of in the community of directors and actors and engineers and production companies that were producing this kind of stuff, I had a probably a better opportunity than most to be able to audition for stuff. And at the time, I was working as a director at the studio that first started dubbing Pokemon. So, and I was one of the first directors of that show, the first couple of seasons, way back in like the early 2000s. Excuse me. Um, so I had a chance to play a bunch of characters, and then I just kind of got more into that. And all along, I was always directing, but I was also kind of dipping my toe into acting as well. So that's sort of how I found my way into voice acting. Even like, for example, like doing Chip, Light Gaia. That was while I was at Four Kids, and I was technically on staff as an ADR director for Four Kids, and I was directing shows. And then at the same time, acting in certain roles too. And that's kind of how it was for pretty much, I think, all of the ADR directors at Four Kids. Like they were also act voice actors. So we all kind of like they say like we were on both sides of the glass, we were on both sides of the booth. But that's pretty much my journey to voice acting.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
I always love listening to like every voice actor's stories, you all have a
Mm.
different story of how you got into the industry. It's just very intriguing and
Mm. Well, a
and
fun tidbit is actually the voice actor Greg Abbey and the voice actor Dan Green, who you might know from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and as Yu-Gi-Oh! we all went to college together, acting school together. We went through the same classes together. We lived together for years. We still get together like every couple of weeks for dinner and we hang out and stuff. So it's kind of neat that we all started together and then we all sort of followed each other through the industry in different ways and kind of found our own niche. I mean, I'm not as like famous as those dudes are. I mean, they really like they got some amazing roles. I kind of stayed more on the in the production side of things. But I always think that's a fun little tidbit is like people don't realize that the three of us are like buddies. Like we basically got into the industry together. We became actors together, and we're still like hanging out together to this day, which is kind of awesome.
Oh.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew. Do you have a question for Anthony?
Yes. What was your inspiration for the character of Chip?
Ooh.
My inspiration. That's a good question. I gotta reach back. So, I mean, I guess the first thing that kind of helped direct me towards what Chip was like in terms of how he sounded and how he emoted was really what he looked like. And that's pretty much what we all went off of when we were doing video game voices, where you just really had a character design and that was it. It's not like dubbing animation where, you know, you already have it kind of created for you and there's a story around it. This was this was much more kind of just based on the look and the feel of the character. Um, I mean, I always sort of did like a cute voice every once in a while and stuff like that. So when I saw Chip, I kind of almost immediately thought like, oh, look, he's cute. And I said it like that. And I kind of felt like, oh, that sort of fits Chip. Um, there's not necessarily a character or an inspiration that I pulled from specifically to find that voice. And I also must say, and I don't recall, sadly, who directed that game, in terms of the voice actors, but the director definitely played a significant role in helping us all find the voices for the characters. Um, but I would say, like, inspiration wise, it was pretty much like he's little and he's cute and he's innocent. So I thought, how can I sound little and cute and innocent? And that's really where I kind of like drew from in terms of like creating Chip's voice and character.
Oh,
Oh, very interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I actually have a question here for my very good buddy Kevin as he is out, but he told me to ask you, what is it like knowing that Sonic Unleashed has been getting a lot of attention and love from the fans now with the release of Unleashed Recompiled? I love to hear your perspective on
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's an awesome question. Because I am so honestly, I'm kind of relatively new to the going to conventions and Comic Cons and stuff like that. Like I said, my other friends are more well known in terms of their voice acting and also just more active voice actors than I am. So they've been doing it for a while. And, you know, they said, you should come and try to do a convention or something like that. You know, people actually care about some of the voices you did. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. And when I started going, it was almost 2 years ago now. In fact, this month is 2 years that I've been going to conventions. And almost immediately, and I was shocked by this, is that people were like coming because they loved Chip. And I was thinking, oh, it'll be one of the anime voices, one of those shows. And more and more over the past 2 years, there've been more and more fans coming up and like literally gushing over the fact that the voice of Chip is at the show. And my question is always, it's like such an old game. Like, I can't believe that you guys are even care about this anymore. And what's so much fun is that people come up and like share their different experiences playing the game. Like some people have come up and said, "Oh my God, your character drove me crazy because there was this one part in this one level that I couldn't get through, and you just kept talking, and you kept driving me nuts." And I was like, "Well, that's hilarious to hear." And then there's other people who are like, "Oh my God, I love that character, every bit of it. Like what it brought me through the story, and like just their whole like emotional experience playing this game. Uh, so for me, it's been pretty amazing because I'm like, wow, there's this crazy resurgence going on for this old game uh, that people are really drawn to and actually kind of touched by the character, which I mean, it's you can't be more flattered as an artist, or in this case, as a voice actor, to have people come up to you and like tell you like that they loved what you did and it was really meaningful to them and they enjoyed all the hours that they kind of quote unquote spent with me. It's just it's so moving and so flattering and so and just quite honestly, it's gonna sound kind of cheesy, but it's really beautiful. Like it's so beautiful. And I love that people are like re-embracing an old game. Um, I mean, I guess nostalgia is a big thing nowadays, so everyone's kind of going
Mhm.
back to re-experience things from their childhood. I mean, maybe that's a sign of the times. You know, things are kind of kooky now in the world, and people are thinking, well, go back to something that feels safe, that made you feel hope, that made you feel excitement about things. And I think that's super important. So I love that there's this amazing resurgence going on with the game. Um, because I think people should get back in touch with stuff that inspired them and made them feel joy and allowed them to put their worries aside for a few hours a day. So yeah, I love that question. I am so grateful for all of the love that the game and the character are getting right now, and I'm just really thankful for it. I think it's amazing.
Mm.
Wow, that's such a beautiful answer, Anthony.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. I
Thank
see
you.
some questions in the chats. Here is the first one. It's by Crazy. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hey, Anthony, do you have a favorite Sonic character or any favorite chip lines if you can remember? Ooh.
Um, well, I I don't know if I have a favorite chip line, but I have a favorite chip moment. And this kind of goes back to something I said earlier about how I went to school with Greg Abbey and Dan Green. There's a cut scene, and it's just before Chip gets his name, Chip, where he's like salivating over the ice cream and the chocolate chip ice cream. And the excuse me, the ice cream purveyor is voiced by Dan Green. So it's like this scene where me and my friend are basically talking to each other, but we're also in the game together. And I love that scene, not only because of that, but because it's this hilarious scene where like basically Sonic is like, "Come on, don't you want to like, figure out what's going on? Don't you want to like know what's happening?" And Chip is just like, I want to know about this ice cream. I just want to have this ice cream. Oh my God. And he's like, ah, and he's like literally like salivating and kind of going, ah, ah, ah. Because Chip can be kind of like serious at certain times
Mhm.
and actually a
Mhm.
lot through the game, especially in the later parts of the game. Um, and maybe like the very first scene when we meet him, how he's so goofy and confused and he doesn't remember who he is. But I love that scene with the ice cream because he's like so innocent and it also kind of really sets up his essentially what is a sugar addiction. Let's be honest. The guy's addicted to sugar. He can't break it. It's just what it is. And it's just so cute because he's just so I don't know. I just love that he's salivating over it. So it's that scene where he's just kind of not paying attention to Sonic at all, and he's just like so focused on the ice cream. Um, and a favorite line is I mean, almost all the time when I'm at events, I'm always like, "Want some chocolate?" Because he just does that
Oh.
throughout the whole game. He's like, "Want some chocolate? Want some chocolate? Want some chocolate?" So, and I'm realizing now I should probably actually get a chocolate bar and bring it to shows now, and actually give it to fans and be like, "Want some chocolate?" And I'm going to totally do that now. I'm going to be at a show in where the heck am I going to? Uh, where am I going? I'm going in a couple of weeks to New Orleans.
Oh.
So in NostalgiaCon. So I think I'm going to get some chocolate bars and I'm going to bring some with me and I'm going to give them out as chip. That's what I'm going to do. But
Oh.
anyway, long, weird, circuitous, lost, crazy answer to that question. But so yeah, I guess favorite line is "Want some chocolate," just because I feel like that's his most well known, probably.
Mhm. Ah, Nice. Andrew, do you want to read the next question in the live stream chat?
Next question. Where's the next question? I have to scroll up. Uh, where is the next question?
I believe it's Cutie Cat from what
Aha,
I can see.
yeah, Cutie Cat.
Cutie.
How was it like voicing Chip in the shorts, like Night of the Werehog? I heard Jason gave his answer in an interview once. So how was it for you? P.S. You're an amazing dude.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
P.S. Thank you. You're an amazing fan. That's a very a good question. Um, so as I mentioned, I think I maybe this was before we started, how like the experience of creating this was so different for me than the people experiencing the game. Whereas me recording this, it was like a day of recording all of these lines. And for
Mm.
players, they spent, maybe weeks with these characters playing this game and going through this adventure. Um, Night of the Werehog was even shorter than that. Like that was like, I mean, obviously it was less material than what we did in Unleashed. Uh, what I remember from the recording of Night of the Werehog was that it was really quick, and I was also kind of like I was honestly confused, I think, when we were doing it at first because I thought it was like a continuation of the previous
Mm.
game. Like I was like, oh, is this like an expansion or is this like something like to do with Unleashed? And it was like, no, 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 this is like its own little standalone thing. And I guess at the time I was recording it, I still kind of thought that it was going to be part of Unleashed. And then like years later, when people were talking about these two different things, I'm like, what do you mean? What's Night of the Werehog? I'm like, isn't that basically what Sonic was in Unleashed? Like he was this creature. And I didn't have like a clear understanding of like, oh no, 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 this is a completely separate thing. Um, So I guess my experience of recording it was just first of all it was awesome to come back and do Chip because I just loved doing his voice. Um it's uh it's always so great to be able to do a voice that not only you have fun with but also doesn't murder your throat. And like Chip was one that was just really gentle and easy to do. And so that was really nice to come back and revisit him with that. Um, and I was also just really actually I would think I was psyched, even though I wasn't sure, whether it was a continuation of a previous game or a new game. I was just psyched that there was more Chip because I was like, oh, cool. I'm glad that like he's an interesting enough character that they felt like they wanted to bring him back again for something. So that I think that was kind of like my experience with the werehog journey.
Mm, very interesting. Yeah, because I know Night of the Werehog, I think it was made by like an animation company. And
Hmm.
and recently we watched that during Rebel Movies in the Sonic Revolution
Uh,
server. And it just felt very nostalgic, for a
oh,
lot of people, because everyone's like, oh, here comes the part where Sonic
oh,
becomes the Werehog.
right, right.
You
Oh,
know, um, I felt so bad for Chip because the ghost took advantage of him and they kept
ah.
scaring him at every like corner. And Sonic's like, dude, are you okay? Like he's getting annoyed with how scared Chip
He,
is. And I'm
yeah,
just
he's an easy target. It's not fair, but Chip is an easy target. Well, why
like
wouldn't he get scared? He's Chip. He's so sweet and gentle and innocent, even though he's also responsible for like rebuilding the world. But never mind that.
Yeah, I always felt bad. And then he gets like tied up at the end. I'm like, oh, this dude's not
Oh my
getting a break.
God, I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Oh my God.
Like he's not getting a
Wow.
break. I was like, my gosh, I feel
I
so
forgot
bad.
about that. That's crazy.
Oh, okay. I see another question in the chat by Cookie Star. Hi, Cookie.
Cookie Star.
I do have a question for Mr. Salerno, if that's okay. I want to know if you have any plans on coming back as a Sonic character or even as Chip if he gets brought back. Ooh.
Oh, I wish that were up to me. I mean, I think every voice actor would say, I wish that was up to me. Um, uh, I was just thinking again when we were chatting just before we started, when I asked you guys like what your favorite Sonic, piece of work was, and we were talking about the movies, it made me think like there I've been in conversations with voice actors where they're like, why wouldn't they just keep using the same voice actor to do the movie? Like, why would
Mm.
you change the voice of this character? Um, and obviously, that's just not up to us. That's up to the producers. That's up to the production company that currently owns that property. There's also ideas of people just kind of wanting to refresh it and stuff. Um, so if it were up to me, I 1000% would be all over that. I would love, love, love to come back as Chip. Uh, and I think people would love to see Chip. I think he's just like such an adorable, endearing, fun character. I would be there in a heartbeat. I just, we just have to get the petition together. So I think maybe tonight, this is where it starts, and we begin the petition to bring Tony Salerno back as Chip. We just have to have the show where he would go in. Just need that one little detail.
Mhm.
But yes, I would absolutely love to come back as Chip if the powers that be would see it that way.
Oh.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. Here's my next question for you, Anthony. Do you relate to Chip in terms of personality?
Wow, that's a deep question. Uh, Interesting. Well, I guess I could say I can relate to certain aspects of Chip. I love that Chip is by his nature tied to the very like health of the planet. I love that, he's part of that light dark cycle. I think if you wanted to get really kind of philosophical about it, like it's like he's part of the yin and yang of life. I mean, he's part of the light and dark of struggle and hope and sacrifice and love and pain. So he's sort of like the positive side of that. Um, I absolutely embrace that. I love that. Yeah, I think in terms of like how I would relate to that is, I mean, I feel like I try to carry that through my life, try to um, take things as they are and not necessarily try to be like, oh, happy go lucky Chip, I'm eating chocolate all the time. Although actually, I think that's something we both definitely have in common is that I freak out over chocolate. Um, I have a chocolate problem. I don't have a chocolate addiction. I have a chocolate problem. So that's where we definitely unite. But yeah, I think just in terms of his like hopefulness and also I really relate to his enabling Sonic because I think what's amazing about that is it's like one of the most beautiful things one friend can do for another is to enable them, is to try to give them an opportunity to succeed. And
Mm.
I try to do that in my life in terms of, I have a 7-year-old daughter. I try to do that with her, with my relationship with my wife. In my work, in my everyday work, I managed teams of people, and I try to like enable them to kind of succeed or provide opportunities for them to do well because then we all do better. So I think, that's something that could really be gleaned from like Chip's character as well. Like he's there to help Sonic succeed. He's so driven by being there for Sonic, which is just such a beautifully altruistic thing. But he's also doing it because it's for the greater good. And I think that's just it's amazing how much they pack into that character and into just a video game that there's really some really beautiful life lessons in there buried in the crazy fun and the button mashing. So I guess that's what I would kind of like draw from Chip as a character and like maybe emotionally how I could relate to him as a person.
Oh, that's so interesting. But that's really cool that you're like like the aspect that you really also love chocolate as much as Chip.
Yeah, it's true. My dentist will confirm that.
And I see someone in the chat literally said, I want chocolate now.
Yes. Yes. I'm having chocolate after this. Thank you very much.
All right, Andrew, do you have another question for Anthony here?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun question actually. What is your favorite chocolate?
Oh,
Oh, that's easy. 85% dark chocolate.
ooh,
Yep.
dark chocolate.
Hands down, dark chocolate is where I go all the way. It's just where it's at, baby.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, for sure. Like dark chocolate is like pretty good for you too. Like I didn't know this until
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. I
I
mean, I
didn't
certainly didn't know that at first, but I was like, after the fact, I was like, oh, lucky for me. It happens to be good for me because I eat it, a ton of it.
Yeah, my mom told me it's like it's actually good for your heart, actually. So
Yeah,
I did not know this until my mom told me.
that's
So
right. So you got to make sure you have it every morning with your breakfast. Make sure you have a bar of dark chocolate. That's totally what the doctor ordered.
Ooh, okay. Let me check where is, wait, let me check. I know I saw another question in the chat. Oh, okay. Here is another question by Crazy. Anthony, did you know that Sonic Unleashed released the same day as your birthday?
What? November
Really?
18th, it released?
I believe
Did it?
I believe so.
No way. All right, everyone's looking it up. Everyone's doing Google now. Everyone's like, hold on,
Yeah,
stand
yeah,
by. We're
yeah, it is
confirming.
no November 18,
What?
2008.
Wait, who
Yeah.
noted that? Who was on the chat who said that?
Crazy.
Crazy. That's crazy, crazy. What? It
That's
released on my birthday? That's
wow.
bonkers. Oh
Oh,
my
the
God.
odds.
And nobody gave me that game for my birthday? What kind of
Yeah.
world are we living in? What kind of world is this? Wow. I had no idea. Oh my God. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks, Crazy. That's incredibly amazing information. Wow. So weird.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
you heard it here, folks. Looks
Yeah, we heard it here first.
you,
Unreal.
yeah, crazy that literally Sonic Unleashed released on your actual birthday,
Oh my
Anthony.
God.
That's got to be a very shocking news.
I'm blown away by that. That's amazing.
I
And I expect every fan to send me Sonic Unleashed for my birthday this year, which by the way is coming up next week, ladies and gentlemen. Um,
yeah.
wow, incredible.
I was like, oh my gosh, crazy. You be all looking up voice actors' birthdays here.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a dedicated fan, you know everybody's birthday. That's just part of the territory.
Oh, that's absolutely
That's amazing.
true.
Wow. That's cool.
Ooh, okay. I looks like I see another question in the chat by Revan8237. Hey Anthony, thank you so much for being a big part of my childhood. Here's my question. What was your favorite scene? I guess they're asking what's your favorite scene as Chip slash Light Gaia, pretty
Hmm. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I definitely like the first scene where he's salivating over the ice cream, the chocolate chip ice cream that eventually leads to his name.
much.
Um, but I think, well, I have two other favorite scenes. Um, and one is really short, and one isn't. One is when he's on the dock talking to Sonic, and he's realizing who he is. And he's talking to Sonic about like how he's like Gaia and like what he's there for and how the world destroys itself and he's there to rebuild it and he's there to balance out Dark Gaia and all that stuff. Like I love that because it's such a character change for him. It's such like a milestone in the story of Chip, if there is one, where he's just kind of this goofy sidekick with a little bit of like, mystique to him. And then suddenly there's this like turn that he takes where he's like, no, actually, I'm I have this serious side now that I remember everything. And also he's like, it's really, really an important force in the world. Like it's suddenly, wow, he's a big deal. Like this is incredible. And I just love that scene because it's really, it just takes Chip to a different level of emotion and of expression that we hadn't seen in the game at all at that point. And then the other scene that I absolutely love is the one little moment where near the very end where Sonic is like knocked out and kind of like the spirit of Gaia of like Gaia of Chip kind of comes down and just says, Wake up. You have to wake up. You know, you have to live, Sonic." And he's just like, "Live." And he just kind of floats away. And I just think that's so moving. It's like so sweet. And then it kind of like brings Sonic out. So those are like my two, I guess so I have three favorite scenes, but those are my other two favorite scenes for Chip.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that part, like when he decides to like throw Sonic right out, to save him,
Yeah.
that was like a very emotional farewell.
Hmm.
It was very done beautifully. And then when Sonic wakes up, back at the same place where he met
Yep.
Chip,
Right.
like he literally sees Chip and then he tries to reach out and then Chip just like
He's
vanishes. It's
right. He's there for a second, and then there's just the his collar is there, and there's
hmm
nothing else. I know that's cool. That's just amazing. Like, in a game like Sonic, doesn't have to be that like emotional, but they went for it. Like I thought that was just so
hmm
awesome. It's such a cool thing to try to achieve in a game with like a simple story like that. It was just such a brave thing to do. I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah, but like when you think about it, it makes them more relatable, it makes them more human,
Totally.
because you're like dealing with like it's time for Chip to say goodbye.
Right.
Like it really hurts because like, especially if you're the types of fans that love Chip's character,
Mm,
and Sonic and Chip just have this camaraderie, they have like this
yeah.
connection that they built throughout the entire game,
Right.
which started with like Chip like having amnesia, didn't remember who he
Right.
was at
Yeah.
all. And then like Sonic's like, "Hey, I'll help you,"
Right.
because that's just how Sonic is as a character. He's like
Right.
he's willing to help anybody,
Right.
and they built those memories together.
Mm. Literally. Yeah. Literally built memories. Yeah. No, and I think that's something that's pretty cool about those two characters too, is that they're both so empathic. Like they both want
hmm
to, they're driven by helping others. And again, that's just such an awesome message to have in a video game. I mean, and I'm not criticizing video games. I love playing video games. I still play video games constantly. Um, but it's so amazing to have a game where it's just this like wholesome and really truthful and earnest messaging in it, which is just like help each other, just help each other, and it'll work out. Even if the world is at stake, help each other, it'll work out. It's so amazing. It's amazing that connects with people. I think that says a lot of really good stuff about us as humans, that there are so many fans out there that really connect with this. That's a good sign, I think, for our future.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think, they really captured the emotional, aspect. And that's why a lot of fans love Sonic Unleashed,
Mm,
because normally, Sonic stories, they're not too deep, but
mm,
Sonic Unleashed is like one of those rare exceptions in the franchise where
mm.
they build this new character Chip, throughout the entirety of the game. And they just, and when you see those credits of all those photos they took together,
Oh yeah, yeah,
it just
yeah.
adds
That's right.
so it adds so much more impact, because
Mm,
it's like, oh, they were consciously actually taking photos together,
right.
because
Yeah,
everyone knows like the phrase that the what's that phrase? I think a picture is worth 1,000 words,
right.
so I think doing that actually was actually brilliant, and then you just hear that beautiful, I think, Dear My Friend, I believe, was one of
Mm,
the theme songs
Yeah.
at the ending credits. So
yeah. No, they
yeah.
went for it. That was like their Oscar moment. They were like, we're gonna go for it with this game, and we're just gonna do this thing. Like shoot for the stars. And but what I love about the pictures too is it also kind of like fleshed out another part of the story that we didn't necessarily see. But there's like, hey, and then there's this other dimension. There's this other stuff that was happening too. I mean, it's just so again, that's just great storytelling. That's just so smart. So yeah, no, it's and it's interesting to hear that because I'm not a big Sonic aficionado in terms of like the scope of all of this, the stories and the games. So to hear that this kind of stood out in terms of like it being more of a seriously developed story is like that's also amazing. And I'm really proud to be a part of that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Nice. All right, Andrew. Do you have another question for Anthony?
Ooh. Oh. Which one should I pick? Okay, this is an interesting one. So, I looked up online. So, Chip was originally called Whip. Were you aware of this? And do you think Chip is a better name?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, no, I was not aware of that. And also, no, I don't think that's a better name. That's terrible. Um Whip. Like what I mean, what does he even do that's like a whip or is whippy or is whip like unless it's like, whipped cream, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um yeah, no, I wonder what inspired that. Maybe, I mean, he whips around as he flies, maybe? But no, I mean Chip just makes so much more sense, right? I mean,
Yeah.
his love of sweets and how sweet he is and how he doesn't really know his name yet, so he gets called that by Sonic because of the ice cream. And I mean, I don't know, it just that makes sense. That's weird. I wonder what the inspiration for that was. I'd be curious to hear that. But no, so no, Chip 100%. Whip, thumbs down on Whip.
Yeah. Yeah, because I kind of feel like chip makes more sense, because it's the play on word chocolate chip,
Right,
because
right.
he loves chocolate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was a better choice because, like, I don't think people are going to resonate with whip, you know?
No, no, that
It-
feels more like sassy. That feels like it's got more attitude. Like Whip sounds like, I don't know, Chip is more innocent and cute and sweet, literally. So yeah, no, I'm glad they went with Chip.
Yeah. I think I would say I think I was discussing this with Andrew earlier that I think with it when they were do I think when initially if you kind of look at his hair, it kind of looks like
Mm,
a swoosh thing when you put whipped cream on top.
interesting. Yeah, that's what I was thinking in terms of whipped cream. Like that's about as close as you get. But that's really like that's it though. That's it. I mean, Chip
Hmm.
encompasses, as we just said, Chip like represents so much more. He's also kind of a chip on Sonic's shoulder in a way, like literally. He's like
Yeah.
hovering around his shoulder. So there's
Hmm.
just they went the right direction is the best thing to say. They chose
Hmm.
the right option.
Yeah, for sure. I did not know this either, so I was like, "What?" I was like, "I would not remember Chip as Whip. I'm sorry."
Right, right. Yeah,
Like it's
no way.
not memorable, or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Here is my next question because I know you have voiced in the Yu-Gi-Oh series.
Mm.
Like I'm very curious. Like, what's your like favorite line from the Yu-Gi-Oh series that you voiced in?
Let's see. Well, I mean, do you mean like Yu-Gi-Oh, all the Yu-Gi-Ohs, like all the iterations of Yu-Gi-Oh, or actually just the original Yu-Gi-Oh?
Let
I'll ask you that first.
how about the original Yu-Gi-Oh?
So I guess the original Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, I guess my most well-known is doing Rex Raptor, uh, after Sam Riegel. Um, I mean, I don't really. I honestly don't have any lines that I remember, unfortunately for Rex, like off the bat. Um, uh, Another character, and honestly, I feel bad that I'm not remembering if he's from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX or if he's from Yu-Gi-Oh! I think he might be from Yu-Gi-Oh! His name was Lorenzo, and he was only in a couple of episodes, but he was this Italian guy, a really like stereotypical Italian guy, and his thing was always bada bing. And he said the bada bing, and whenever he dueled, he was like, "And I choose this." And he was like, "It's like, and I draw, right? And I'm going to play this card." And he goes bada bing, and he say bada bing after every time he did something. It was so dumb, but it was very memorable, and randomly people will come up to me at shows and be like, "Hey, Lorenzo, bada bing." And I'm like, oh my God, is this what I'm known for? Holy crap. Um, but but Rex is the one that I probably voiced the most in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I didn't play any other major characters in that. I played a lot of like one-off dudes who like would show up, for like a couple lines here and there, but nobody like memorable. Um, yeah,
Mm,
unfortunately, I don't really recall any really awesome
probably
Rex
went
Raptor
downstairs.
lines.
Yeah, he probably went downstairs. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sorry, that was my dad asking where my brother is. Um,
It's an important thing to know.
mhm. But that's so interesting that fans are literally like, you're like, really? This is the character that
I'm like,
people.
this is the one that you remember? Okay. I mean, I'm just always shocked that I even remember like someone who's only in like two episodes. Because I think about like when I was a kid and the shows I was watching, I'm like, I mean, I guess I remember like one-off bizarre characters. I mean, actually, I do. So, I mean, maybe it's not that strange then that people are like, hey, you did this weird character, or you did this funny guy. So, but yeah, no, Rex, I unfortunately I don't really recall
Mm,
anything specific. I know he had plenty of lines, but I don't really remember any offhand.
mm.
Sorry, fan. Sorry. I'll do some more research between now and the next event I'm at, so I'll have a few ready.
Mhm. Yeah, like because I know with Yu-Gi-Oh when I was like, "Oh, I did not know you voiced in Yu-Gi-Oh."
Yeah, I snuck it in a little bit. I snuck a couple of voices in there. I mean, back in the day, it's because we were all I mean, like four kids, we were recording in one place. Like it was one location, and it was kind of like it was kind of like almost like college in a way, where we were all in our individual classes, and except our classes were recording studios, and one person was like recording Yu-Gi-Oh over here, and somebody else was recording Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over here, and someone was recording Sonic over there, and someone was recording Winx Club over there, and someone was recording something else. And then you'd change rooms and then switch and like, oh, now I'm recording Yu-Gi-Oh! And 10 minutes ago I was recording Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so it was really easy to kind of uh like I don't know, code switch in a way from like one to the other. Um so I mean, I'm often like at a show and someone will come up with like either a recording or a video or a picture of a character and be like, "Did you voice this character?" Or they'll play it and be like, "Is that you?" And I'll listen and I'll be like, "Oh my God, that is me." I'm like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's like someone was like, that's Air Hummingbird or something from like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, some weird like monster." They're like, "You did that voice." I'm like, "I did?" Oh my God, I don't even remember it because you're like, it was probably like 2 hours in one afternoon that we did it. So that's always kind of like funny to have people come up and be like, they know more about our careers than we know ourselves. They're like, yeah, this is what you played, and you played this, and you played this. And I'll be like, okay, okay, all right, you're right. Um, so I'm really always learning more from the fans than anything else, like coming up and sharing stuff like that, which is really enlightening and fun because then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Or I won't. I'll say I have no recollection of recording that at all. Um,
Mm.
so it's interesting. But yeah, so yeah, I snuck into Yu-Gi-Oh! A couple times and did a few things, obviously, as we all
Mm.
did.
Nice.
Mm.
Ooh. Oh, okay. So I see a question in the chat by Silver1804 to Anthony Salerno. Do you like puppies or kittens?
Oh my
Interesting.
gosh. Well, I could let me see. I'm gonna show you. I love, well, there's that puppy right there.
Oh,
Um, she's the one who's recovering from surgery. Uh, there's no either or. I love both because we actually have three dogs and two cats. So I love them all. We're animal lovers in general. Um, so I mean, honestly, if I could have like a animal rescue farm somewhere where we had like hundreds of acres and we could just rescue animal after animal, that would probably be my dream in my life to do. So in answer to that question, it's both. There's not, I don't have a favorite. They're both amazing.
Oh.
Hmm.
Ooh. All right, Andrew, do you have another question for Anthony?
yes. Did you have much interaction with the rest of the cast in Sonic Unleashed?
That's a good question, and sadly, the answer is no. Um,
Mm.
I mean, I had interaction outside of recording the show because I knew all the actors. I worked with all the actors. I directed many of them in other shows. Um, but in the actual recording of Sonic Unleashed, we all recorded solo. So, it was basically done where you went in, you got a cue sheet, and I think for Chip it was like, like 1,000 lines or something, or maybe more. And it was just like on an Excel sheet, and you go in there alone in the booth, and director and engineer on the other side, and the the kind of like standard operating procedure was read each line three times, and read each line and each read is slightly different. And usually the director would give you some direction on how to read the other two reads. Like you'd give one go, and it'd be like a little description of like what's happening. So if I remember right, sometimes there weren't, but usually it was like a little description of the action of what was going on. So you had a rough idea of how to deliver the cue. Um, but we were in there alone. So when I recorded Chip, I was just in the booth alone, and I literally just recorded every line he had in a row, um, until it was done. And then we would go back, so maybe there was a little interaction indirectly because after we recorded, we would go back, and there would be like fixes to do on it. Like after it was synced to picture, there might be like, oh, this doesn't quite fit right, or the writers wanted to change something, so we would go in and just do amends on that. And when we did that, then I would hear the other actors like, and for me, it was mainly Sonic. I would hear his lines being read, in there. So that was about as close as I got to having direct interaction with the other actors, the other voice actors, as we
Ooh.
recorded the show. I mean, back in the Four Kids days, the only show that was recorded prelay, which is what they call it, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they were all in the room together, and recording almost like they were on stage, which is an amazing way to work. But all the other shows and video games were just done solo record. So sadly, we were all isolated from each other in creating those characters and in creating those scenes. And again, that's another reason why we went back and would redo things, because here I am sort of recording lines kind of in a vacuum. So I don't really know what reads I'm getting from Sonic, so I don't know necessarily how my response should sound. I'm just sort of assuming how it should sound. So then when it would all be put together, sometimes the reads just didn't make sense against each other because like my read was just like off in some way because it didn't make sense off of how Sonic was talking to me. So then we go back and okay, redo that line or redo this line. So then it feels more conversational. And that was a challenge because we were recording alone to try to do it in a way that was conversational, which I give great credit to the audio engineers and directors of those games because it was their job to kind of like put that all together and have it make sense. I had that experience because I had directed a couple of VO games for Shaman King, and we did it that way. And then it would be like, now we put it together, and you're like, oh my God, those two reads don't make sense. They don't work together. It doesn't sound like they're talking to each other. So we have to go back and re-record it. But yeah, in terms of like collaboration and interaction with the other voice actors, it was basically at the bar at the end of the day. That was it.
Mm.
So
Oh,
sadly, we didn't get to act in the same room together.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, I think like there's always this misconception when people ask like voice actors, do you get to like see the other voice actors when
Mm.
you're like recording? And it's, most of the time it's like no, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's true. I mean, it depends on some, like, I worked in audiobooks for a long time. It's the same way with that, even if there's multi-character reads. But sometimes they'll do like ensemble reads where it's like everyone's in the room together. I mean, that's really challenging technically because when you
Mm,
have everyone in the room together, like isolating their voices can be challenging. Although honestly, with AI tools today, it's not nearly as challenging. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the actors, that's always the preferred way to work is to work off of other actors and work off their performances that then lead to better performances overall, as opposed to recording solo. And we ran into that when we recorded our shows as well. All the actors recorded solo, and then you'd put it all together. And as you were building it, I mean, I guess as an actor, you would be fortunate if you were like at the end of the recording of an episode because everybody's voices were there already. So you were like, oh, cool, there's people here, as opposed to being one of the first actors to record because there's nothing there and you're just sort of you're talking to nobody and hoping that your line deliveries kind of make sense. So it was a challenge for everyone, both I mean on both sides, for the engineers and directors and for the actors to kind of together try to make it feel natural
mm,
by the nature of the way we were recording. And you're right, Leanne. Like it's it's a natural assumption to be like, oh, you were all together because we're watching it and all these characters are together, so they were all together when they recorded it. And it's like, no, it's usually the opposite, which is crazy.
mm. Ooh, okay. Looks like I see another question in the chat. Andrew, do you want to read that question?
let me scroll down.
Yeah, it's like all the way at the bottom and it's like by Silver.
Yes. So Silver1804 asks, "Have you ever played Sonic Unleashed with your family after voicing Chip?"
Oh, I haven't, but I plan to because I just started. My daughter just started playing a Sonic game recently, and and I honestly don't remember what it is. I got it on our Xbox, and it's okay. She doesn't love it, but I years ago I played Sonic Unleashed, and I really enjoyed it. Um, and my daughter loves that I played Chip. She's not familiar with the game, but she's familiar with the voice and the character, and I've shown her like cutscenes and stuff, and she just kind of freaks out over it. So I actually do have plans to play it with her together, so she can like both enjoy a fun Sonic game and at the same time hear her dad play Chip throughout the game. So the answer is no, but soon, yes.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Ooh, okay. This one's an interesting question by another question by Crazy. Has there been times where you laughed during recordings? That's a great question.
Oh boy. It's more like, have there been times that I haven't laughed during recordings? Because uh yeah, no, I laugh all the time. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate and sometimes it's hard to be mature. So um no, I think I've always thought that it would be amazing to have the outtakes of recording sessions because some of the stuff that we would say and laugh about, I think, are maybe even more entertaining than the stuff we were actually recording. Not always the case, but sometimes. Um, But no, man, I mean, I laughed all the time. I always had a blast. Uh, I probably annoyed the voice director for this recording because I like to joke around. So I was probably laughing too much when we did this. So I mean, the answer is yes. I laugh a lot while recording. I goof around a lot while recording. Um, Probably more so when I'm working with people I'm familiar with. If it's more of a like, formal sort of like, hello, nice to meet you, go in the booth, do your job. Wouldn't mess around so much.
Mhm, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
sorry.
yeah, so yeah, lots of laughing for sure.
All right, Andrew.
Hmm.
Do you want to ask Anthony your last question, then I'll ask mine?
Oh, last question. Let's see. Yeah. So obviously they explore the world. Do you have any like favorite parts of the world that you would like to explore?
Um, yes. Um, wow. I mean, gosh, where do I start? Yeah. I mean, I really, really desperately want to go to Italy because it's part of my heritage, and I've never been. I've been scolded by other Italians that I know, like full-blooded Italians who were very disappointed in me that I have not gone to see my homeland. Um, so I desperately want to go there and explore Italy. I would love to go to the Incan temples in South America. That's something else I would love to explore. Um, and uh, and I would also just love to go to like Tokyo in Japan. I think that's just a culture that, ironically, I spent so much of my life like redoing their work in a way, like, t turning their work from Japanese into English. But I was so exposed to a lot of their culture through anime over the years. And I've realized I've never been to the country that all of this work was born in. And I would love to get immersed in that culture for a while. So yeah, I mean, I think I mean, honestly, there's so many places I would love to see and explore, but I think my bucket list, it would be in order, it would be Italy, Japan, and then yeah, the Inca temples down in South America. Uh, that definitely would be my favorite places to
Mm,
explore in the real world.
Nice.
nice. Yeah, I actually went to Japan earlier this year in the summer.
Oh, I'm jealous. How was that? Was it a
It was
first visit or have you been there before?
it was my very first visit actually. So
Wow.
hmm
How long were you there for?
just for 5 days because I was also going to the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
That was like
That's amazing.
yeah.
Oh, how wonderful.
I bought a lot of Sonic merchandise over there,
Oh,
obviously.
nice.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
yeah. Ooh, okay. Here's my final question to end on. I know you voiced in the Pokemon anime various times. So can you like at least talk about your experience voicing in the Pokemon anime?
Yeah. Again, as I mentioned near the start of this, like I began directing anime, and the first like broadcast stuff I directed was Pokemon. Um, So I really spent more time as a director with that show than as a voice actor. I portrayed a bunch of like five or six like one-off characters that had Pokemon battles with Ash or Jesse or even Team Rocket. Um, and I portrayed Aerodactyl for a couple of episodes as well, and in a later part of the series, in XY, I portrayed a trainer as well, Ramos, who was fun to play. And he was probably that's actually probably the character that had the most amount of lines that I ever played. Ramos, he was an older guy who spoke like this, and he was very much into training them. Um, but my experience with Pokemon was really more of being on the other side of the glass and as a director, as an ADR director. Um, so I really got to more experience the magic that the voice actors brought to it, like the late amazing Rachel Lillis, Veronica Taylor, Eric Stewart, Ted Lewis. I mean, the list goes on and on. They were just all so, absurdly talented, and they all just had so much fun doing that. And I was just happy to be in the same space with them, creating this stuff and just having fun and doing a show that was on TV. I mean, it was just such a blast to be actually doing it. It's kind of like we're pinching ourselves half the time. They're like, "Wow, we're actually a part of this. This is incredible." So yeah, my experience with Pokemon was more of like the overall, I don't know, the overall amazingness of it all is just being a part of this legacy that's like such a huge part of so many people's lives. Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel very lucky to have been included in that.
Wow, yeah.
Ooh.
Like I grew up with the OG Pokemon.
Mm,
Right? So I'm like a 90s kid.
no, that's awesome.
Yeah. And of course, unfortunately, we will have to end this live stream. I want to thank you, Anthony, for taking time off your
Oh.
busy schedule to do this Q&A. It was a lot of fun learning about, the behind the scenes stuff, and and basically, your love for Chip, and how he has impacted the Sonic fandom, as a whole, and you're like hearing about, wow, a lot of people remember this character I voiced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, thank you so much. This was really just such a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet the two of you. It's so wonderful to talk to you two and to hear the questions from the fans. It's just awesome to know that there's so much love out there for this kind of work and for the work that all the other voice actors and other artists and technicians do in this field and in this creative endeavor. So I'm really really grateful that you brought me on and asked me to be a part of this and I wish you many more wonderful wonderful sessions and live streams with other exciting talent in the future.
Oh, I appreciate it. And of course, I want to thank you, Andrew, for co-hosting with me because it has to make sense. You're the Rebel VA for Sonic, so we had to have Sonic and Chips.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in and asking Anthony so many great questions here. Like, you guys asked so many great questions to him.
Absolutely.
And of course, we have to give shout out to Sonic Unleashed because this month is literally another anniversary of the game, and that literally released on Anthony's birthday, which
Oh my God, it's crazy. Crazy.
yeah, so
Happy birthday, Sonic Unleashed, and me.
yeah. And of course, I am going to announce my upcoming live stream. Tomorrow I have the next episode of the Lucky Charm podcast with the Cartoon Hotspot for the Miraculous podcast I'm hosting here on my YouTube channel, and that will be at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. ET. Here on my YouTube channel, and we are going to be talking about friendships and miraculous, like the different friendship dynamics. So be
Hmm.
sure to tune in for that. And I also teased earlier before this live stream of an upcoming Q&A, which is going to be revealed soon. But
Oh boy.
but yes, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that bell notifications for upcoming live streams and video content on my YouTube channel. And of course, make sure to tune in. And may you all have a wonderful rest of your night. Bye, everyone.